And that's because next is the Candier room. And a lot of you know what road and swimming up the urethra.
Alright, today I'm going to be reacting to Why These Fish Belong in a Horror Movie More Than Sharks by Casual Geographic. If you don't know me, which you probably don't because this is the first video I'm making, I really like marine animals and marine life. If it wasn't obvious. So, I'm interested to see what we got here, because, you know, sharks are very misunderstood. They are beautiful creatures, especially nurse sharks. So, I imagine we might see a few things from river monsters on here, because I know they got some real special fish on that show. Before I play the video, I just want to say, please go support the original creator, in which case this is Casual Geographic. There'll be a link to this video and their channel at the top of the description, so please go support them. So let's get started. Those things are called, Oh my god. Okay. I was gonna say, these... what this guy's using, these are called Whopper Ploppers, I'm pretty sure, which is very fitting name. I just want to add. Oh.
You know, the greatest trick Hollywood ever pulled was convincing the world that sharks are the only things to fear in the water.
Right.
There be monsters.
Oh yeah.
In the last video, we talked about how sharks might just be the most misunderstood creatures in nature.
Oh, was that?
With a PR team that works about as hard
Was
as
that
a
him?
whiteout
Hold on.
might just be
Was that
the
him
most
diving with sharks?
misunderstood creatures in nature. With a PR team that works about as hard as a whiteout's brain after 6 rounds of CTE. They've been done so dirty, they've actually overshadowed the other
god.
insanity spawned from Satan.
That was a sturgeon, I think, the
These
first
are
one.
7 fish that should honestly terrify you more than any shark. This isn't really to substitute one fear for another, but I do think these fish can make a much more traumatizing, nightmare-inducing horror
yeah,
flick than Jaws. And it starts right here. Those eyes belong to a pair of Arapaimos, also known as a Pirarucu. You've definitely seen them before. Does this video ring a bell?
Oh yeah, I've seen this.
It definitely rang his.
Isn't this video fake? I'm pretty sure.
Middle fingers nature forgot to vault, usually growing to over 6 feet long and 200-something pounds. It's bad enough those are NBA point guard measurements, but the beefiest ones can get to 10 feet in length and weigh over 400 pounds. This Jurassic roid guppy usually eats other fish to go with fruits and seeds, but also birds and allegedly even monkeys sitting on branches too close to water. And if you don't believe that, it's because you haven't seen them hunt. They're explosively quick, and the aquatic black hole is...
Oh, you know what? I'm pretty sure River Monsters did an episode on this. Or it might have been a catfish, maybe. I'm not sure. Or it could have been both.
For fish and violently pull people underwater. One zookeeper reportedly made the mistake of trying to retrieve a glove that had fallen into an Arapaima pool, and in a split second got his hand, wrist, and several fingers broken. There's also the fact that a refrigerator-sized fish will yeet themselves out of water in self-defense. And let's talk about that defense. The plus-size bite is covered in heavily armored scales, not only tough enough to tank piranha attacks, locals historically use them as nail files.
Oh, wow.
They've also used their tongues as scrapers, since these fish have teeth growing out of nail files. They've also used...
That's got to be some sort of phobia, right? Tryptophobia? Something like that?
Their tongues as scrapers, since these fish have teeth growing out of...
Does look like it would feel good, though, if I'm being honest.
Effectively crush struggling prey against the roof of their mouths. You know nature got in its bag when it made a fish that can breathe air.
Oh,
and
look at the
the
eyeballs.
Amazon has a modified swim bladder that was repurposed as lungs, meaning this flex of a fish can survive 24 hours out of water. On one hand, that...
Why? For what purpose?
Have to come up for air every 20 minutes or suffer the eternal shame of being a fish that finds a way to drown. But it also works.
Oh, so do they have? It's called what? Like a labyrinth thing for breathing. I know betta fish have that. Ah, yeah, the fish is an air breather using its labyrinth organ. Okay, so they are like similar to betta fish.
out for them because in low oxygen water where most fish become slow and sluggish, the air merchant menace can pretty much go on a killing streak. Now the question is,
yeah, so they don't suffer from
pack up a person? While
low
there's no
oxygen
indication
water.
they see us as a snack,
Ooh,
there
looks-
are old stories of high-strung assault
cool.
guppies effectively drowning people, likely by knocking them unconscious and leaving them incapacitated.
Yeah, no, this
underwater.
one,
Not
this
him,
one's
he's
fake.
fine. You can unclench guidelines,
Yeah.
he's good. But one man that almost wasn't was Jeremy Wade. He
Oh,
brought me into
yeah.
the introduction, but long story short,
Jeremy,
he's a zoologist
my
who
man.
hosted the show River Monsters, which ended, but only because he caught every fish nature had to offer. But he almost caught an early life.
Yeah, I watched this religiously when I was like 10 or something. Such a good show.
After a pissed off Paima struck him square in the chest and nearly caused irreversible damage to his heart. Not only did this fish nearly have us singing, the suspect wasn't more than 90 pounds. Remember, the overachievers can press the scales at 400 or, 180 kilograms worth of kilomane.
The scales on those fish look really cool with the
predatory vacuum. And
red
strangely
tips.
enough, it's not the fish I'm most scared of in the Amazon.
Yeah?
But we'll get to that. The piranha actually isn't.
Yeah,
You
these
remember
guys
from an
are
earlier
just
video,
scavengers.
piranhas might be just as misunderstood as sharks. They're mostly just scavenging opportunists that our childhoods convinced us were way more of an issue. You cannot say the same for their cousins found in the Congo basin of Central Africa. The Goliath tigerfish can grow to nearly 5 feet long,
I think
over
I
100 pounds.
I remember
And there were
the
people who were
River
told
Monsters
piranhas
episode
are
on
times
this.
10. They're in the same order, but where piranhas are primarily a swimming cleanup crew, tigerfish actively hunt for their bodies. And you'll find out, nature built this prehistoric problem to do exactly that. They have sharp dagger-like teeth that many swear are comparable to that of a great white. Although I personally see them as more conical, like a crocodile. Which
Yeah,
is
it's
a
like
coincidence since the saltwater variety are their only natural predators. But of course, the swimming
It's like a mix between a fish and an alligator or crocodile.
expletive has also been known to murk smaller crocs. They have eerily strong eyesight to track prey, special organs to detect the vibrations they make underwater, and they're strong enough to brute force their way through the turbulent waters of their hunting grounds. They're considered one of the toughest freshwater fish time left behind, and tigerfish are even on record snatching birds out of the air. Not just birds, but swallows, some of the fastest and most maneuverable out there. Scientists studying them watched as 300 birds got permanently grounded by tigerfish in just over 2 weeks. There's
2
weeks. That in many places, they're only
300
known by one
birds.
name, Benga, meaning
Manga.
the dangerous fish.
Oh, yeah.
There's even a story of a young
Makes
girl
sense.
wearing a belt made out of bottle caps in order to ward off evil spirits. Ironically, it did the exact opposite and attracted the tigerfish who apparently confused the bottle caps for fish scales and nearly bisected the girl.
Shiny objects
Allegedly.
attract
It's
fish.
an extremely fast, explosive vice grip with almost zero prey prejudice. And I'd
that-
still rather
it doesn't
take a
even
bite
look
from
real.
them than the fish up next. And that's because next is the candiru. And a lot of y'all already know what road.
I think I know what this one is.
We're going down. The candiru is a tiny
Oh,
parasite in the Amazon, also nicknamed the vampire fish for their habit of invading the gills of larger fish and scraping the insides to feed off their blood. And with backward-facing spines and a powerful bite, it's nearly impossible to shake it off before it completes
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know what
its
this one is.
transaction.
It's coming
The horror
next.
comes from the legend of candiru being attracted to the chemicals in urine
Oh.
and swimming up the urethra of unlucky.
Yeah, this they did an episode of River Monsters on this one too. I remember. This one traumatized me for a little bit. My childhood. I didn't remember the part where they mentioned in River Monsters they're only found in the Amazon. So I thought like almost any body of water I went into could just have these guys in them. And I was scared of just going into water for a little while, which is great.
Humans and getting stuck up there. A fate that takes surgery to reverse. Imagine a serrated, sentient toothpick in your
I don't wanna.
business, and you'll see why the
I don't
violation with gills is so feared. How much of this is even real?
Oh?
Most of the reports of people getting penetrated by peenfish are really sus at best.
Oh?
Apparently, they're not even attracted to the ammonia in human urine in the first place. There's a good chance that the candiru controversy came from European settlers coming home from long expeditions and telling these long, exaggerated stories.
Okay,
to
so maybe
anyone
I
who's
was
listening for
scared
stats
for nothing.
and attention. Yeah, but basically they were probably lying for clout. You have to remember,
makes sense.
the whole piranha skinning a cow thing spawned from locals staging an event to impress the president.
Yeah.
The truth is, your chances of peeing
Don't
in the
pee in the
Amazon
river.
again-
Yeah, Why is this? Why is this from the Cincinnati Zoo? Join us for an education program to learn more. Cincinnati Zoo. That's in Ohio. I'm from Ohio. It's fine. It's fine. It's a demonstration. You know, they're not found.
Frontal probe dive
They're not
fish
here.
are about as much as you getting meal prepped by a shark or getting struck by lightning. Oh, my bad. And getting struck by lightning. That being said, I'd rather get tag teamed by the pets of Poseidon and the forces of Zeus than have a bloodluster up my urethra, no Franklin. If
Okay,
the
yeah.
odds ain't zero,
If the chance
just
isn't
like
zero,
but I'll happily take a can
I'm
do
still
with the man
scared.
guru and run into aquatic op number 4. In fact, I'm so afraid
What do
of
we
it.
got
I actually
next?
had to break my own rule for this video.
Oh?
The Humboldt squid obviously
Oh,
isn't
squid!
a fish, but it's the
My
closest
cousin.
thing to a living nightmare on this list. Let's be clear, at 5 feet, about 100 pounds,
Jeez.
there are bigger squid. What sets Humboldts
Yeah,
apart is
the
they can
giant
hunt in
squid.
packs of over 1,000.
oh
Yeah, that's 3
My
zeros like a
God.
Tony Snell stat line. Nicknamed Diablo Rojo, there are old fisherman tales of men falling
Diablo
overboard, getting
Rojo, that's,
swarmed and never coming back
Red
up.
Devil, I
There's
think.
also stories of them curiously approaching divers before flipping and trying to rip their masks off. But who needs stories when marine biologist Alex Kirstich can tell you about the time several homicidal squids grabbed him and attempted to drag him down into the dark
my
maw of the abyss.
God.
It gets worse when you realize what exactly happens when a red devil decides to take you to hell. Humboldts aren't just highly intelligent,
Well, they're
covered in
it's
tiny
like
red
flashing.
chromatophores that they can use to rapidly change
chromatophores.
color in order to communicate with each other. It's like Morse code but for Crip and calamari. We don't know exactly what it means, but there's a good chance if a Humboldt confronts you and starts violently flashing red, it could be telling a bunch of others you can't see that you're free eats. So likely the last thing you'll see is pulsing red before you get eaten alive. It doesn't help
Yeah,
that
you know,
satanic
that's-
cephalopods are known for speed eating.
That's terrifying. You know, if I'm just gonna be real.
And are notorious for stripping fish to the bones faster than fishermen can reel them. Add a beak that can easily slice flesh, and a bite force that can reportedly crack bone. And I think you see why I'm not exaggerating when I say I'll deal with every other fish on this list than a pack of
Yeah,
predatory
you know,
color coordinated
I'm good.
squid. And I don't care what logic says, there's no doubt in my mind this squid would eat a human if they thought they could. Why? Humboldt squid only live about a year. That rapid growth in a short time means they'll rarely pass up an easy meal, even if it's their own kind. Humboldts are highly cannibalistic, and they will not hesitate to turn on a weak or injured member of their own hunting party. There was a study done off the coast of Chile that found that out of over 2,000 squid, more than half held the remains of their own
50%.
kind in their stomachs.
More than
Sounds to me that
50%.
anything
Wow.
they see as weaker than them is something they can feed off, and the only saving
Opportunistic
grace for
feeders.
us is they usually only press things smaller than they are. But you don't even
Yeah,
have
that
to be
makes
seen
sense.
as food for affiliated squids to be a problem.
I
True
hate this.
xenophobic, they react to most things they don't understand with aggression, and they've even attacked cameras and
No,
equipment and left them out of
go
order.
away,
But
please.
to me, the most disturbing aspect of getting assaulted by squids is, even if you escape, if you panic and surface too fast, you can get the bends and past tense anyway.
Yeah.
That type of
Well,
psychological horror is what
It
puts
depends on how deep these guys are. But
the Humboldt here, and wouldn't you know, emotional damage is another symptom of finding out about the next fish. 'Cause
What's
now we got
next?
the stonefish. Not
Oh,
one of,
this
but
guy.
the most venomous fish known to man.
Yeah.
It's armed with verrucotoxin, and symptoms of getting stung
Yeah,
include
see,
crippling pain,
what I don't understand with these guys is that they have the venomous spines that shoot venom into you when you step on them. But like, what evolutionary advantage do they gain from having those? 'Cause, like, usually you get one or the other. You get really good camouflage, or you're venomous. But this guy has really good camouflage, and he's venomous. So, like, what did this guy's ancestors go through to make him like this? What is his story?
tissue death, and even paralysis. And speaking of pain, you can be in agony for over 12 hours.
Yeah.
It's enough of an eternal jihad to cause hallucinations. Anecdotally, there have been tourists who've stepped on a stonefish only to beg their doctors to chop off the whole foot. Then there's the added threat of, if you don't get out of the water quick enough, it won't even be the venom. You can get paralyzed and catch a stage fatality to drowning. Even
Right.
if you survive, you can still suffer permanent nerve damage and severe muscle atrophy. But that all wouldn't even be that bad if the stonefish wasn't nature's manifestation of a dick move.
Yeah.
The most venomous animals on the planet usually dress with bright colors to warn the rest of the population that they're packing. Stonefish decided to do exactly
These guys
none
are
of
just
that, and instead
chilling as
cosplays
stones.
as a stone, only to mortally punish you for its camouflage working.
Yeah,
like I
like-
said, it's like having
Like, predators are not gonna find that. So, why did these guys evolve venomous spines? I mean, they are from Australia, though, I'm pretty sure, so. You know, they be wilding over there. The animals, at least.
Invisibility, but also serving a death penalty every time someone steps on your foot. Then you gotta add the fact that there are another fish that can survive 24 hours out of the water.
Why?
And they have a literal switchblade growing out of their forehead. Yeah, I knew there were a problem ever since one.
Okay, this dude is just overpowered.
A stone-cloaking toxic minefield of misery, but with stonefish antivenom being the second most administered in Australia, today if you get stung, your chances of surviving
he's
are
kind of cute though.
good. Not like the next fish, because
oh, never mind.
There is no antidote. The stonefish might be the most venomous fish, but the pufferfish is arguably the most poisonous thing alive. Quick rule of thumb on the difference, if it bites you and you die, it's venomous. If you bite it and you become a wuzz, it's poisonous. And few things are more poisonous than puffer tetrodotoxin, which is 1,200 times more of a
At least these guys won't actively hunt you.
Tetrodotoxin interferes with signals between nerves and muscles, causing muscle paralysis and a total shutdown.
Yeah.
And of course, the fugu blowfish is considered a delicacy. But if the chef misses a single cut even by a little, you're instantly on the clock. You won't know that happened until your face goes numb and your lips.
I don't think I would ever risk eating a pufferfish just because of that.
And tongue get this weird prickling feeling. Then you'd suddenly get a splitting headache and dizziness to go at vomiting and diarrhea as your body desperately tries to purge the poison. But it's already too late and you'd start getting paralyzed, starting with the hands and feet but slowly spreading out, and by this point you likely can't even call for help. Finally, it'd get harder and harder to breathe until you notice the room slowly fade to black, leading to either a coma, seizure, or just death.
Yep.
The permanent kind. Tetrodotoxin
opposed to the non-permanent kind? Okay.
essentially flips a kill switch in your body, and there is no antidote. The only treatment is hooking you up to a respirator to breathe for you and praying it passes. The poison puffball is such a problem.
Hey, get your finger out of there.
Also have teeth that can bite clean through your finger. In fact, it's more than enough to violate a scorpion.
Got some strong beaks.
I don't even know how to describe what they do to crabs.
Oh no, Mr. Krabs!
With a smile, no less. It's criminal. There's nothing funny about getting caught in that bite, with reports of pufferfish mutilating the genitals of men.
Ah!
In a case in 2008 where a Cambodian
Why do they keep going at? Why do they keep going after the penor? Why?
child had his coin purse sliced in half by a pufferfish. And unlike the kangaroo, this ain't a myth. Have your privates out by a puffer and you might just get...
No!
So that's 6 of the sinister 7. But before we get to the last one, we got honorable mentions. The fact that there's a fish that weaponized electricity...
Electric eel!
...it came in and we just accept that is kind of crazy. And the thing is, it might not even be the voltage. But it's getting knocked out.
Why does he look like that?
That'll get you. And the thing is...
We gotta have the same face.
It might not even be the voltage, but it's getting knocked out in shallow water that'll get you. Swordfish are one of the fastest things in the sea. They also have a built-in melee weapon equipped capable of inflicting life-altering harm. In 2015,
they're
a
fast
Hawaiian man was fatally struck in the chest while trying to catch one. Another man in Malaysia bled to death after a swordfish yeeted itself out of the water.
Buddy, there's a swordfish in your oxygen tank.
Swordfish are also on record shanking sharks and even bleeding out sea turtles.
No, turtle! Oh! Okay, we're gonna skip this one.
Honey badger with gills, capable of dishing out severe injury. The Titan triggerfish is a highly aggressive honey badger with gills, capable of dishing out severe injuries with the same teeth they use for crunching coral, sea urchins, and even
looks kind of stupid.
Starfish. The trigger might as well be named after their temper, and this 1.5-foot vibe check is a big reason why beginner divers never
aren't they like really aggressive?
Speaking of big, the Goliath grouper.
Ooh, these guys are cool.
The fish the size of a small car
they get massive.
Jurassic prop. Lucky for us, most divers describe it as a gentle giant with the temperament of a Saint Bernard. Although a Saint Bernard didn't allegedly swallow an entire kid in the Florida Keys. Allegedly. But since we're on the subject, the last fish on this list are catfish.
Oh?
And yeah, that's kind of cheating. There's over 3,000 species of catfish, even including the genital jihad, the candiru. Catfish are like the trash compactors of the fish family.
Yeah, they have some big ol' mouths.
Until you see just how big they can really get. And once a catfish gets big enough, there aren't a lot of things alive they won't try to eat.
Jesus.
We've seen armadillos, turtles, and even unaware seagulls get gored by a catfish. There's a species in France that figured out how to stalk and hunt bathing.
I remember watching a River Monsters episode where they tried to catch this catfish that gets really big, and I think they went noodling, where you catch catfish with your arm in that episode, or am I thinking of something else? I could be thinking of something else, but I'm pretty sure they went noodling in that episode.
City pigeons, another learned to wait by cave entrances to suck up any exhausted bats that fall in. There was even a catfish nicknamed Kuno the Killer who terrorized a German lake and somehow caught and ate someone's dog. Basically, they're all the shit I've talked about pelicans being, just in fish form. The question is, if a catfish has ever eaten a live human, and it isn't even if they would, but if they could. The Wells catfish can grow to 10 feet long and cap out at 300 pounds. The Mekong catfish.
The Wells catfish. I recognize that name. I feel like that's what the River Monsters episode was about.
To 10 feet, and the heaviest one ever recorded was pushing 650 pounds. If there's a catfish that could stomach a human, it should be one of these, but there's a slightly smaller catfish that was believed to be a legit man.
Thing has teeth.
In the late 90s and early 2000s, a series of fatal attacks on people in the Gully River had people convinced there was something in the water hunting humans. In these attacks, victims were suddenly pulled underwater in front of people, only for their bodies to never be recovered. In 2007, Atal Kumar was swimming with friends when he was violently dragged underwater, and while he was never seen again, friends caught a glimpse of something that they could only describe as an elongated pig. Crocs and bull sharks were considered, but the prime suspect ended up being the goonch. At about
the what? I'm sure that means something in another language, but the goonch?
Over 6 feet, 200 pounds, the goonch is usually smaller than the whale.
Oh, yeah.
But it's feared that the practice of burning funeral pyres by the river led to the equal opportunists developing a taste for human flesh.
Oh, that would make sense.
While it's a stretch to say a corpse-happy catfish could swallow an adult, it becomes a little less believable with children. There's no solid proof of a catfish catching a person, but they for sure can off one. The biggest ones can easily overpower you, if not just knock you out and drown you. Not to mention a majority are venomous, with those spines putting both experienced fishermen and oblivious bystanders in the hospital. They also have a nasty sandpaper-like bite that can easily draw blood. But what really makes them a living horror movie is their intelligence. The ones packing up pigeons, they weren't always doing that, but they pretty much ate everything else around them and were forced to adjust. So it's anyone's guess what could happen if they gain a taste for humans. And with catfish being swimming tongues with over 175,000 taste buds across their bodies, yeah, I doubt acquiring taste.
Many species.
But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Make sure you drink water,
how cute.
your mother,
Little
try
pet.
not to get catfished out here. Catfish. If you'd like to see me swim with slightly less freaky fish, the full GoPro footage
that was him
will
in
be
the
uploaded
intro.
to my Patreon. And with that last second self-promo out the way, I'm gonna see y'all in the next one.
Hey, alright. Oh. Well, homie has a little pet catfish. Like I said at the beginning of the video, make sure you go check out Casual Geographic. He does some good stuff. I've seen some of his TikToks here and there. Hey, go pay him a visit. Go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Go ahead and give him a like. I'm going to go ahead and do that too. And thank you for watching.